go back to our speaker, and I'm going to let Brent introduce my fellow puppy raiser, Jennifer. Go ahead, Brent.
All right. Well, welcome to our meeting, Jennifer. I'm going to mute everyone in just a minute and then instruct you to unmute yourself before you begin. I've given you screen share access. We didn't test it, but I think we'll be fine. So you can share your presentation and you can tell us a little bit about what you do, open it up to Q&A during, after, or whatever works comfortably for you. With that said, pediatric cancer in children is devastating in so many ways, and the stress on the children and families is enormous. And but there's angels out there doing what they do every day to make situations a little bit better. So pleased to introduce Jennifer Johnson, Child Life Specialist, CCI graduate with Sutter Health's Pediatric Oncology Department. Mark's going to share a quick video, Jennifer, and everybody, and then we'll turn it over to you, Jennifer. At that point, I will mute everyone, and then you'll need to unmute yourself, and you can take it from there.
Sounds good.
So go ahead, Mark, and play us a
Let me
video
just
and pull out your earplugs.
The earplugs. There you go. And let's see if it works.
Sometimes the first smile of the day is because Glimmer has walked into the room, and I really love that about my job. My name is Jennifer Johnson. I'm one of the Child Life Specialists, and this is Glimmer, my canine companion's facility dog. Our very first facility dog, Hazel, started in 2003, and the impact that Hazel had on this hospital was incredible. I mean, not only did it raise awareness on just the therapeutic value of having animal-assisted therapy, and especially having the fully trained assistant staff in our program, it really helped spread awareness on how to heal and to get out of the hospital. Canine Companions provides their dogs free of charge, and Glimmer graduated knowing approximately 40 commands. So Glimmer not only looks cute, but she's smart too. She is just a natural extension in providing a warm, friendly, comforting environment to not only the patients, but the families as well. There are so many children that have pets at home that come to the hospital and sometimes have to stay for a month or even longer. And Glimmer really helps provide that bridge between home and hospital. Oftentimes children need to get up out of bed, especially if they've been here a long time or they need to have surgery. And what a great motivator to offer, hey, do you want to go take Glimmer for a walk, or do you want to go play fetch in the hall? It just naturally gets kids up and moving rather than just being told that they have to go walk the halls. Sometimes you just can't put words to how powerful it is to have animals like Glimmer and our other facility dogs here. You have to kind of see it in action to believe it, and boy, it's powerful.
We've got to get a better shortwave set.
Great.
Well,
Thanks. Thank you, Mark, for
Unmute yourself.
Okay, here we go. Can you guys hear me? All right. So thank you, Mark, for the introduction. I feel like my whole presentation just got wrapped up in that 2-minute video, just with a little bow. So I am Jennifer Johnson. I am a 2-time graduate with Canine Companion Facility Dog. Right now I have Glimmer. My first facility dog was Millie, who worked with me for many, many, many years. She had a really long working life and retired when she was about 12 years old. Many of you from this area probably know that Sutter built a new hospital about 5 years ago, and Millie retired right before we moved into our new building. And then I went back to Canine Companions and was matched up with my new facility dog, Glimmer, who I will introduce in just a moment here. I also know Mark as a puppy raiser because now we've dipped our toes into the backside of Canine Companions and we're raising a puppy for the program as well. So I get to see Mark at puppy class all the time. But we're going to talk today about the graduate side, which is so very important for people to understand because people get so wrapped up in the puppy raising sometimes and how cute the puppies are. They forget what kind of these dogs are going on to do to help people. And it looks so different for everybody that receives a dog, but I want to talk a little bit about today about Sutter Health and what we're doing. Let me introduce Glimmer first. Glimmer, here. Here you go. This is Glimmer. She is, I'll turn her. There she is. You'll see her kind of, she's looking at me like, what the heck? You'll see more pictures of her through my presentation. But Glimmer is a Lab Golden Cross, and she is almost 7. And so she's been working with me for a little over 5 years. And so she is quite a pro at what she's doing now because she's very familiar with our environment and my expectations of her and kind of our routine every day. So let me share my screen, and I have to admit that I have never done this before. So let me do this. Okay, so hopefully everybody can see this. All right. Okay, so within Sutter Health, I'm assuming everybody knows about canine companions in this group. Is that right, Mark? Yes, okay. So I don't need to go into that piece of it. So Sutter Health, we partnered with Canine Companions back in 2003 to start what was very unique at the time, to have one dog come into our pediatric department with an employee every single day. And many of you know about pet therapy and the benefits of pet therapy, of just what animals do for people. And we had a pet therapy program, and Sutter actually has a very robust pet therapy program that visits, and those are volunteers that come in with their temperament tested dog that then would spend their own time visiting patients and then going home at the end of the day. And so we had a very, very nice pet therapy group coming through. And what we found is that it just really wasn't enough for what our patients and families really needed. The change that we saw in how the children and families were really reacting to their hospitalizations was so different compared to just when it was just a human helping them. And so what we did is through another puppy raiser, we found out about Canine Companions and their facility dog program. And so our first facility dog started back in 2003, and she was really quite a pioneer in facility dog programming. Fast forward now, Sutter Health has, just in the greater Sacramento area, we have 9 teams. And within Sutter Health itself in Northern California, I think we're up to like 15 teams or something like that. So quite a few. So this is 5 of our 7 teams just here on our campus. And we are all child life specialists, and we all help children cope with being in the hospital. So let me just give you a really quick little overview of what child life is. A child life specialist is somebody that is trained with a background in child development to help children cope with hospitalization. And that looks very different depending on what department you're in. Like Mark said, I work with just the children that have cancer. And so my job is really to help children understand their illness on their developmental level and then help them cope with their entire treatment journey. We run all of the playroom programming here. We run all of the volunteer services on pediatrics, and so we're really the ones on the front lines helping children navigate this whole system in a very child-friendly way. And so it was a very natural fit to have dogs come in and be kind of an extension and a tool of what we're doing. And so on kind of a day-to-day basis, what I'm doing is I'm in and out of kids' rooms all day long. Number one, making sure that they are coping with their hospitalization, but also prepping them for any tests, supporting them through any tests or any procedures that they're having done. I also wear the hat of helping children have really hard conversations about when things aren't going well, when maybe it's end of life, maybe they've had something devastating happen and we have to talk about it. I also, or all of us also help siblings, and because really we're treating the whole family. So we work wherever there's a touch point with kids in our hospital, we are there. So we're in the emergency room. Child life specialists are in our neonatal intensive care unit. We're in our pediatric day unit, outpatient radiology, general pediatrics, pediatric ICU, peds oncology. We're kind of everywhere. So we're right there with the treatment team. So really the goals of the Child Life program is to make sure that we've got this child who started this journey and on the end of it, they're still a child, and to really help them keep up with all of their normal growth and development and cope with this whole process as they're going along. So what are some of the benefits of having a facility dog? So I'll quickly go through these bullet points and then I have slides for each one. So what do we do with the dogs? So they're helping us introduce child life services, creating a comforting environment, decreasing isolation and anxiety, providing pain control, offering motivation, helping with ambulation, nurturing emotional support, a gateway for socialization and trust, creating opportunities for peer and parent interactions, supporting the entire family and staff, bereavement support, and then special events, marketing, and social media. And I'll take questions at the end too. I probably will cover quite a bit, but I'll do questions at the end. Okay, so, sorry, I've got two screens going here. Okay, so one of the ways that we're using the dogs is really to just help people understand what child life services are. Most people don't know what a child life specialist is. You would not know what a child life specialist is unless you really had a child that was in the hospital and needed some sort of support from us. And so the nice piece is we can really use the dog as an icebreaker. They really do help cut the tension in the room. As you can imagine, there's so much stress walking into this environment, and then add the layer of just our whole restriction with COVID-19. The dogs really do provide such a nice level playing ground when you're going into the room, because as we are walking in, nobody knows who we are. So it really does break the tension quite a bit. The families are more willing to share their concerns, and the kids are really more willing to open up. And so sometimes we'll have the dog, you can see in the bottom right picture, hopefully these pictures are clear. The bottom right picture, we have trading cards. So I can walk in with Glimmer, she can deliver a trading card to a child, and that immediately just brings a smile to the face. The bottom left picture, you can see that's Hazel, our first facility dog. She's delivering a DVD to somebody. Because as you know, these dogs come with a whole skill set to us. And so what we're doing is utilizing those dogs with their skill set in incorporating them into our work. So they're not just, these cute dogs walking around. They actually come with a whole, job that they're doing with us. So creating a comforting environment. So the pets promote such a feeling of safety, provide a source of contact comfort, and promote communication. And the touch of an animal is so safe and non-threatening and pleasant. They create such a friendly feel, and they're such a reminder of home for some families. The picture of the child on the left was unfortunately somebody that just had to go through treatment by herself. Her parents both worked. And so Glimmer really became like her buddy while she was here, at times when she was lonely, and at times where she just needed to snuggle with somebody. That was such an important piece of her journey. The boy in the bottom picture, so that's Henry, and he works in our day unit. And Henry, so that setup looks a little bit different because those kids are just coming in for the day and then they get to go home at the end of the day. But this particular patient comes once a month for a very important treatment that he needs to get. And so Henry, you can see we've put two chairs together so Henry can just snuggle with him while he's getting his infusion, which is very sweet. and he really looks forward to her every time that he comes. Decreasing isolation and anxiety. Touch and interaction with dogs has been shown to decrease blood pressure and heart rate. And then, of course, facility dogs give the patient something really to look forward to when returning to the hospital for treatment. We have one particular patient that I'll share a little story with. She's a young teenage girl who had to come in for a few different surgeries, and she has Down syndrome. And so her ability to cope with her hospitalization looked a little bit different because her cognitive understanding of what was happening was a little less than somebody who was typically developing of her age. And her mom, so she had met the facility dogs during an unexpected hospitalization, but then had to come back for a treatment. And so what ended up happening is that her mom called and said, we have to come back, and I don't think I can get her inside of the hospital. I don't think she will walk in. She is so afraid. So what we did is we made a plan to actually meet out in our parking garage, and we had Glimmer just walk her into the building. And just that simple little act of getting Glimmer out into the parking lot to get her into the building made all the difference in the world, because she was too big to pick up and carry in. I mean, she was a teenage girl, but it immediately set the mood for a positive coping experience. And then really the facility dogs are what got her through her entire, pre-surgery, post-surgery, and then really probably an early discharge, because we were able to get her up and get her walking soon after. Pain control, so pain reduction, this is a study that was done, was 4 times greater in those children undergoing animal-assisted therapy as compared to those relaxing for 15 minutes. When humans gently stroke and talk to their pet dogs, oxytocin almost doubled in both humans and animals. Blood pressure and cortisol decreases in both, and beta endorphins and dopamines in humans increase. And that's, of course, kind of all the science side, as many of you probably know through the years and reading, that dogs really do show quite a bit of reduction in overall pain. I want you to notice the little girl on the bottom right of the screen who's got the tube in her nose. That little sweet girl came in and was just absolutely miserable. And I'll show you. So that was obviously Feather that's snuggling with her. And in my next slide, you'll see how the next day, she's on the bottom left. She was up, she was moving, we had a whole fetch session going on in the hallway, and the little smile on her face is just kind of says it all, and she actually went home later that day. Okay, so motivation. Active or passive interaction with animals can be a great psychosocial and physical benefit for all people. Really, it's so easy to get kids up and walking after anything that has happened when you offer, hey, I need to take Glimmer for a walk, or I need to take whatever dog it is for a walk. It's very different to have your doctor come in and your nurse come in and say, oh, it's time to get up and walk. There's a lot of fear associated with children walking really right after having surgery, and with adults too. But if you say, oh, I really need to take Glimmer for a walk, the motivation to get up and do that is immediate. So it's pretty impressive to see. Ambulation and rehabilitation. Dogs can help patients ambulate after surgery, like I just said. Petting and brushing really encourages movement. Dogs can provide increased motivation for exercise. And we do this every single day, of really getting kids up and out of their rooms and moving. We play a lot of fetch in our hallways. You can see the picture on the left side. This particular patient, as you can see, had an amputation. And so he had to, relearn to walk again. And Glimmer was a huge piece in helping him, learn how to balance and learn how to get up and learn how to stand on one leg, until he was able to get his prosthesis. So she was just a huge motivator for him, which was really pretty powerful. Emotional support. Patients feel less lonely, less depressed, and enjoy the change in routine. For the inpatient adolescents, the presence of a dog on the unit really improved patient outcomes by redefining the inpatient milieu and providing an unconditional acceptance. And that was off of a study that was done back in, I think at the Mayo Clinic. Gateway for socialization and trust. In healthcare facilities, people come out of their rooms to socialize more if the animals are there. They really develop a sense of community and common interest with peers, and it really helps the children trust their adult caregivers. The picture on the upper left is this sweet little, she was 4 at the time, and she would not speak to any adult that came into her room. And in this case, what we did is, that was Millie, my first facility dog. Millie became kind of the in-between communicator. So she would whisper things to Millie, or she would whisper things to her mom, and then her mom would say what she wanted to say. But we eventually got to a point where, as you can see, I was able to get her out of her room using Millie, and then she started verbalizing with staff, and then her whole trust of the healthcare system really changed, which was nice. And then this bottom picture with kind of everybody laying out on the hallway. We oftentimes have patients come in that have their own canine companion dog. And so this was kind of fun because, you know, the family was totally familiar with canine companions. So we had this whole kind of party out in the hallway. We wheeled the patient's bed out into the hallway, and then you can see more patients started coming out. And what it led to was, you know, conversations between parents and really sharing their experiences and really developing this nice little community. So that was really fun. Peer and parent interaction. Using the facility dogs as a neutral common ground allows patients and their families to easily engage with each other. And the dogs often spark spontaneous conversations between families, which leads to better relationship building for friendships, peers, and peer-to-peer support. Of course, and being in the oncology unit, you know, we've got a lot of the same kids that rotate in and out. And so a lot of people become friends because I've invited them intentionally out into the hallway to come out and play fetch. And oftentimes we have multiple dogs here, so then they can play fetch, you know, with 2 or 3 dogs. Supporting staff. So Glimmer with me makes rounds every morning with the oncology team. Oftentimes they're, you know, out in the hallways just getting loved on by everybody. They attend psychosocial rounds and family conferences. They really increase socialization and communication with staff. They provide a topic for people to relate to one another. They build trust and respect. They improve morale, and really provides an opportunity for the patients to see the adults and the staff in an alternative light. The bottom right picture is one of the pediatric oncologists that I work with, and Glimmer is just mad for him. So she just goes cuckoo when she sees him. And so she's oftentimes in his lap when we're doing our morning rounds. Bereavement support. This is always obviously a hard topic for many people to talk about, but the dogs are such an important piece of the bereavement support that I provide to families. Because the families I work with meet Glimmer very early on in their treatment, oftentimes I'm one of the first faces that they meet. The dog becomes just a natural part of their whole journey. And so having Glimmer or Millie is such an important piece of their end of life. And so this bottom picture of the 2 little kids laying on the floor, their brother had just passed away. And so they immediately wanted to just go down to my office, get under my desk that was Millie, and just snuggle with her and go through videos of their brother. And it was, you can see how sweet the little boy is just laying next to Millie, just staring at her. And backing up just a little bit, the picture to the left of that with the 2 boys on the bench, the boy on the left is their brother. And ironically, I had taken these 2 boys outside because we had a 3rd boy in our unit who had passed away. And so we had gone outside to talk about his death and to really process, because the 3 boys were really close to each other. And then these 2 boys, unfortunately, then went on to their own demise. But you can see Millie was just such a woven piece of that journey. And the siblings then went on and really just were looking to Millie for that comfort. And of course, as me facilitating it. And it was such a powerful time when I needed to use Millie to do all this bereavement work with these children. And then of course we went on and went to the funeral together. And, the children oftentimes just latch right on to the dogs at the funeral because it's such a comfort for them. And of course, we use the dogs for a lot of special events, marketing, and social media. When it's non-COVID, we've got a lot of special guests that come through. And it's really a great way to spread the word about canine companions, but also spread the word about our facility dogs. And if you're on Instagram, we have a really nice page that really highlights a lot of the dogs within Sutter Health. It's Sutter Facility Dogs. So if you have a chance to follow our page on Instagram, there's a lot of really great pictures on there. Our most recent addition to our facility dog program is this bottom right picture. That's Omni. And Omni just graduated with one of our child life specialists in our outpatient radiology program. And her job is really to help children be desensitized to the radiology department. And so right here, you can see she's right up in the CT scanner. She's having a CAT scan, get it? And so I have actually a really nice video of Omni moving in and out of that CT scanner to show children how the CT scan works, but also to show that Omni's not afraid to be in it. And that really is helpful in decreasing having to sedate children for their procedures. And then, you know, they can do it awake and get right out of their procedure and get out of there quickly without having to go through anesthesia. I will open it up to questions. Let me click back here. Go to stop sharing. We want to
Okay, we'll unmute
Yeah.
people, please. And do we have some questions there for Jennifer? Rich?
Yeah, I was wondering if this type of program is at the other local hospitals like Kaiser, Methodist, and such.
Yeah, that's a great question. There are 3 canine companion facility dogs working at UC Davis Children's Hospital, and that's the only other one that has canine companions. Shriner Hospital does have 1 facility dog through a different organization, but it's not canine companions, but they do have 1 dog.
Yeah, such a great program. Amazing.
Yeah, and really the dogs over at Davis are because of our program. The child life specialists that are working there all trained to become child life specialists in our program. And so, I mean, I've been with Sutter for almost 30 years, so I pretty much know everybody that's in child life at this point. And so for everybody that's come through and done training with our internship, they've seen the impact of our facility dogs. And so it's really great because now they've got 3, which is fantastic.
Yeah, I'm surprised other hospitals don't have that.
Well, there's a lot of red tape, as you can imagine, for infection control.
Really? I would imagine, but.
Yes.
Any other? I would like to offer, before you close, we had a personal experience, I had experience with one of my dogs. I think it's we had an opportunity to go to UC Davis emergency room for pediatrics. And the emotion in that room is amazing. All these children are there. And the dog I had, I'll just use a name, let's say Coil. I took Coil in with me, and there's a little girl on the bed sitting up to take blood. And so we were walking around, and I asked the nurse, can I bring Coil in there? And she says, yeah. And I said, ask the little girl, would you like to pet Coil? So I had Coil do a visit to her, which means he's putting his head on her lap. And so he's stretching up. He's a big dog. He put his head on her lap. And so she's ready to give blood. So that he's petting his ear. He's foaming his ear. And as soon as that needle went in, her hand clamped down on dog's ear like iron. The dog did not move. So this is a puppy in training. So it shows you that we, as Jennifer can show you, we put a lot of, as a puppy raiser, we put a lot of effort into dogs to be able to handle those situations. So it's a pretty amazing thing. And the other amazing thing for me is we did an isolation one. We went to an isolation room. And the child was in like a bubble in a sense, but you know, everybody get gloved up and put in there. I had to put gloves on, hat on, mask on, feet covers on, finger everything on. And the friggin' dog didn't have to put anything on. That was amazing to me. And we went in the room and we didn't get out of the room. We spent 25 minutes in the room with the parents and the dog, and with the child, and just petting it. So it's just so heartwarming what these dogs can do to change lives. And me as an outsider coming in and seeing that and having a dog that's in training, it's just amazing. So it really makes me realize why it's important for all of you and us to be part of the program to help. So That was I had a lot of stories. I really enjoyed doing that. But the best part is that we are coming up with our miniature golf putts for pups, which is going to be a fundraiser for the Lion Project for Canine Companion Independence. So the money we receive from there will be going to Canine Companions through LPCCI. So Jennifer, I want to thank you so much. Was anybody else before I change out of that? Okay. Jennifer, I want to thank you very much this morning for the wonderful presentation. I know we will be posting this on Facebook. Is that correct, Brent? Give me a shake of head. Yep. So we will share it with the world and other Lions, and I know some of our other Lions clubs will be getting in contact with you to maybe make a presentation to their clubs also. So thank you so much.